going to take a minute to go through a couple quick reminders before we get started and not begin until we hit that 12:25 mark. For those of you that are joining us on Zoom, as a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raised hand function. For those of you that are in the room with us, as a reminder, if you haven't already, let's go ahead and mute or turn off any electronic devices. As part of the digital media hub of the NCAA, transcripts are being provided by ASAP and video, thanks to Hammond Communications. Another reminder, no video is allowed to be taken in here, only photography. And the way that we will go through this morning's, this afternoon's press conference is once we do introductions, we'll get an opening statement and then we'll entertain questions. So with that, it's my pleasure to welcome the University of North Carolina head coach, Courtney Banhart. Coach, when you're ready, an opening statement, please.
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. All the Greensboro people have always been so kind to us. Anyway, there's not a lot of coaches that are still getting to prepare their teams for challenge. And it's an understatement how grateful I am to be in this position. I know very well that I haven't made one shot. I haven't had one assist. I haven't gotten one rebound. But my team has done a lot of all those things. And I'm certainly looking forward to leading them in this next opportunity, which is against a very, very good South Carolina team in a great venue. So just real excited to be here.
Fantastic. Let's go ahead and begin our question and answer portion. Again, we've got a microphone over here. Make sure I see your hand. We'll get the microphone to you. Please give us your name and affiliation, and we'll get through as many questions both in the facility as well as on Zoom. So we're going to start right down here in the front middle on the first row.
Gabe Ebram, her Hoop Stats. Coach, after the Arizona game, you talked a lot about 5-on-5 basketball and making sure that you did that. I think Miami did a similar strategy, excuse me, in their last game. Do you take a lot away from that last game, and how have you still been harping on that 5-on-5 idea?
Yeah, I mean we've been 5-on-5 all year. That's the beauty of our game is it's one of the very few sports, if only, that you play both sides equally. So to be playing late in March, you've got to be a two-way player and a two-way team. So as much as we have to focus on ensuring that we make South Carolina's job to score difficult, we also have to generate good looks for ourselves on offense. So we're really breaking the game down to both sides of the ball and putting ourselves in the best position versus a very good team.
We'll take our next question from the middle here in the fourth row.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Courtney, obviously you've watched tape of South Carolina now. What's going on with their defense there? Is it just they seem to be playing at a different level right now?
Yeah, I mean they're just playing with great energy. I mean their bigs are meeting screens. They're playing out in the perimeter more. They're using your length. They're shrinking the court with their length and size and physicality. And then their guards, I mean, they're getting right on your hip and making things difficult, both with the ball and without. So yeah, their defense is, with how it's so easy to talk about their athletes. It's so easy to talk about their spurtability. It's so easy to talk about, Aaliyah Boston. And you're right, their defense is underappreciated. They're great on that end as well. It's one of the great teams in women's basketball.
Take our next question from right here in the middle, second row.
Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. Coach, last time you were in Greensboro didn't quite go as you wanted. How did you regroup with this team and to get ready for the NCAA tournament, make it back to Greensboro for the
There you go. Yeah, I think the last time we were in Greensboro, we were playing against another top 25 team who played really, really well, and we really didn't. So what we did was we showed, the defensive breakdowns in particular. I thought we played with the least accountability we had played all year. And after the game, I had told them, that it's the only time all year that I thought we beat ourselves. And that's a sign of a very, very good team. And that the next time we play, which will be against somebody somewhere, which ended up being SFA in Arizona, we're not going to beat ourselves. It's going to take a very good basketball team to beat us. And they responded. It has nothing to do with Greensboro. I have great affiliation with Greensboro, that we didn't play well. This particular team just didn't play well the last time we played here. But that was more to do with, I don't know if it was fatigue or if it was eyes ahead to the next thing, which was possible. At that point, we knew we were really in that host or not host hunt. And yeah, we just weren't focused on the right things, but we got back to where we needed to be.
Take our next question all the way to our left.
Hey, Matt Dowell with Watch Fox in Columbia, South Carolina. Coach, I'm interested. It's interesting because you guys were the last second-round game to be played, but the rest of the region won their games on Sunday. So I'm just wondering, what has rest and relaxation been like and recovery been like for you guys when everyone else has kind of had a 24-hour head start?
Yeah, it's a great point. We were the last game of the second round, and we're the first game of Sweet 16, and we had a 3,000-mile travel day in the middle of that, right? So rested is, it's very rare you get to talk about inexperience being an advantage, right? So everyone starts COVID seniors this year. I start 4 COVID freshmen, and maybe that's a good thing because they don't seem quite so tired as I am. But we didn't leave until Tuesday morning, which allowed at least try to keep their sleep schedule as much as possible on target, and allowed us to use the full day of travel as a work day. But we were not home 24 hours. So thank God for industrial laundry machines and the fact that this is the same outfit I wore at some point last week, right? So we just went laundry and then put stuff back in our bags. But yeah, it's interesting how that worked out. I don't think it was anyone's intention, but we've gotten a very short period of time to rest. So that might be a good thing because we don't have to reset. We're just like still going. So it's instead of a Thursday, Sunday ACC week, it's a Monday, Friday ACC week.
Go right across the aisle here.
Hey, Coach Eddie Hughes, Spectrum News 1. Being that you guys are very familiar with Greensboro, is that an advantage, disadvantage, or, with everything like what you just mentioned, the quick turnaround? Does that help you out because you don't have to go as far and you're familiar with the area that you're playing in and the arena you're playing in?
Yeah, I hope it helps us that we don't have to reset, right? That we're kind of literally, I feel like I could be in Tucson still. I'm not exactly sure where I am. So that in terms of being in Greensboro, I'm not sure it's an advantage quite yet because my clock is still working. But we've shot on these rims before. I think it's also just good for women's basketball. You've got 2 giant programs with giant tradition, giant legacy, superstars, that'll be in attendance from alums from both sides. And it's played in Greensboro. You got North Carolina, South Carolina. Like for the basketball purists, you're welcome. It's a really awesome environment for a basketball game. And so whether it's home court advantage or short travel time, this is the stuff you live for. So everything else is a detail.
Right here on our second row to our left.
Coach, the NCAA has talked a lot about doing more to promote women's athletics, and we've seen some differences with the women's tournament this year. What are your thoughts on that, and is it enough? What's the limit for how they can promote women's athletics, in particular the tournament, the big dance? Yeah,
I mean, the things that were low-hanging fruit, they addressed, right? The marketing has been better. The accessibility to see it on TV has been better. The things that could be handled right away, they did some things, right? And it's been noticed and appreciated. And I think our game is at the right. It's very marketable right now. I've given my whole life to women's basketball, and with the 2 Ivy League degrees that I have, there's a lot of people that are still questioning that, my parents included, right? But at the same time, it's the best it's ever been. And so in some way, I'm contributing to what is the game being as healthy as it is, and people are seeing that now. My mom sent me a text that said, I don't know what you've done to me, but I've literally watched women's basketball all day, right? And she didn't come to Tucson. And then Mac Brown, our football coach, sent me almost the exact same text. He was like, I'm obsessed with your team, but now I'm watching the teams you might play, And so just having it on TV and having it more accessible to our fans, people are falling in love, not just with the stars of our game, but with teams. That's the progression. First, okay, you got all these stars. I watch Sue Bird, I watch Stewie, I watch Elena Deladon, I watch Nafi, et cetera. Now people are watching teams, right? The steps that still have to be done, of course, right? Once this TV contract is up, let's make sure we're our own entity, right? The units issue is a big deal. It's a big deal. And people are, I know the other argument, well, it all comes from the same pot. If I'm our athletic director and my university makes more money if my men's team advances, I'm going to be at the men's game. And I'm going to invest more money in the men's program because it's basic mathematics, right? So you get women get a pat on the back. Thanks for doing such a good job, right? But there's no financial incentive for our team to be great, right? So that needs to change. You also can talk about the marketing opportunities. If you have to first give to the men's tournament in order to give to the women's tournament, it's going to look like everybody is really into the men's tournament. Well, there are plenty of companies that would prefer to support women's basketball over just the men's basketball tournament, right? So there are things that will take more time because it's a lot of legal and legislative processes. And I know I give a lot of credit to Craig Robinson on the NABC side, is that they're not resting either. They know that women's basketball is a strength. It's not an appendage, you know. And for as long as I'm sitting in this chair, I will make sure that I continue to contribute to ensure that our product is a strength.
Go one row in front.
Bob Sutton with the News and Record. Even though you're just an hour away from home, South Carolina tends to bring a circus a little bit sometimes. Do you anticipate that, and how do you think your team will react?
Yeah, I think the crowd will be, you know, we're playing for something important, so the crowd will be, it won't be quiet, and it shouldn't be. You know, if you're going to spend this much time doing something, you want to make sure it matters, and there won't be anybody in the Coliseum on Friday at 7 that will realize that this doesn't matter to anybody, right? It matters to everybody. So the Carolina Blue, we probably only had about 100 fans to their 8,000 or 9,000, and our crowd was loud, you know, and so I can only imagine what 10 times that crowd is going to be for Carolina. And then South Carolina, you know, their crowd has woken up. Dawn has forced their crowd to wake up, you know, with all the work that she's done. And so, yeah, there won't be an empty seat, and there will be a lot of headaches leaving that gym for how loud people felt they were supporting their teams.
Right here in the middle.
Coach, another big change off the court this season, besides, you know, the low-hanging fruit, as you say, is the name, image, and likeness. And I wondered, how did you address that with your players? Did you address that with your players? And kind of what type of guidance did you give them? And I would imagine that maybe they're getting more attention now that they're in the Sweet 16 as well.
Yeah, the name, image, and likeness, the biggest thing I think we tried to understand is that the impact, not just the positive, but the potential negative, right? It's such a comparative culture. So if you look around and you compare, that could make you feel less than. So I try to get on ahead of that and talk instead about everybody is marketable in their own way. And we're not all going to look at it and do it the same way. Because if so, then there's going to be someone who's the best at that way, right? And so I think to be thoughtful instead of this is the way. Like Deja Kelly has done a lot through her social media platform. Well, for people that haven't invested so much time in their social media, that's probably not the best way for them to go about it, right? And then I also said, it's sort of like what I tell my freshmen when they arrive. You don't have to drink your first beer in the first week. You don't have to meet your best friend in the first month. You don't have to meet your boyfriend in the first semester. Like, ease into this thing, ease into this thing. And so I think the same thing about, about the NIL. Like, let's ease into what you want your impact to be, and how you want to connect it to your identity. And those conversations are evolving, right? And they're elaborative. So it was a little bit easier in the case of Deja because of her. Right now, I think the NLI attached to the marketability of your social media platform, and that's where she's been so impactful. But we have other athletes that are going to be really powerful in their own way and have been, and that's something we're going to sort through.
Over here, right in the front.
Coach, you mentioned that being young helps you physically. I was wondering, does it help you mentally at all, just like with the crowd noise, like you're not going to come, it feels like your team doesn't come in scared at all. Mm-hmm. Does the youth help with that?
I think the great thing about our team is that we're youthful on the scout, right? I always show, like, when we do our personnel scout, it's like, I can't tell you how many times the other team has 4 to 5, like, look at NC State, right? They're all COVID seniors, right? Or they've, as I tell them, some of their rosters are older than I am, it feels like. But our guys have just, I told them that story's been told, we're not going to keep telling it, right? So if you, I was saying this in December to them when we started league play, if you worry about what you're not in life, that's really sad, right? You've got to focus on what you are. And so I don't think my guys feel young. I guess you can ask them. I think instead they feel like they're a really good team that has had to continually prove that. We've lost to 4 teams all year long, 4. And one of them is a 1 seed. We lost to them twice. And then we've also beaten a 1 seed. We've not lost to anyone outside of the top 25. We've beaten, of course, plenty in the top 25. Our margin of victory is 6th in the country. We're a really good basketball team, and we felt like we wanted to show that if we went undefeated in non-conference. We wanted to show the league that. We felt like we did show the league that. We were picked 7th and finished 3rd. And then we thought we'd be hosting and weren't, so we had to prove it, and had to prove not with I told them, 1-point win doesn't get you anything, right? You got to go hammer. And they did that, right? So this is just a really good team. And so, yeah, they're young. The good thing is I don't think they're worried about what they're not. I think they're focusing on what they are.
Good time for 3 more. We're going to start back here.
Courtney, you mentioned you guys are here, Creighton's here. You talked about the growth of the game. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, all these regionals would have been 1, 2, 3, 4.
Totally.
What does that say about where this sport is going, that there can be a couple of, teams who weren't expected to be here still playing.
Yeah, when the brackets came out, I thought it was going to be my current team and then my past team, Princeton, both of us in the Sweet 16. I think for Creighton and some of these mid-majors, it shows that basketball has just never been in a better spot. It's hard to win in March, and there's way more better teams than when I was getting into the game. And there's just, all you can do is prove it. And then in terms of us, I don't really put ourselves in the Creighton category because, again, I don't know how we're not a 4 seed. I don't know how Notre Dame is not a 4 seed. I just don't get it. I think part of it is actually the transfer portal has made our media and our voters have to work harder, right? I mean, there were voters that never saw us play, and they're voting for the top 25. That's not okay, right? And they're voting because that all kind of matters. So I think people are looking at I saw them last year. Well, our team is totally different. And with the transfer portal, so is Louisville. And so is et cetera. So I think this whole transfer portal, people keep talking about how it changes your roster management. It actually means your media has to work way harder to get it right.
Last question right here on the end.
Clary Goodwin, WGHP. Coach, this is a little bit of deja vu for North Carolina. North and South Carolina met in 2015 in the Sweet 16. Tar Heels lost by 2. I know you weren't the head coach then.
No, we were 30-0 at Princeton that year. I was focused on what I was doing.
I love it. Gotta stay focused. But this year, what's
Yeah.
the key to being the underdog, taking on a top seed, taking them out of the tournament?
I think it's the concept of you don't have to beat them 10 times. I think that there's sometimes I think we would have beaten Arizona more than we lost to them. But it doesn't matter for South Carolina. We just got to beat them once, right? We scrimmaged them to start the year, so we've gotten our hands on them a little bit, and we've seen them, and we've been up and down against them. And so, but you guys wouldn't believe a word I said if I came up here and told you I don't think they're very good. It's an excellent team, and they're a testament to the growth of our game and what Don's done. And we're excited for the opportunity and a chance to show how good we are too. Our game plans will be curtailed to our strengths. And as will theirs be. I know Don well, and I know our staff well. They don't think we're bad, so they will be prepared for this game. I know that. And so what a great opportunity and what a great experience for the fans, the media, and the country.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
great
you, Amy.
afternoon.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll take just a couple minutes here, reset, and we'll be joined by North Carolina student athletes. Yes, please. All right. Thank you. All right. Give me 1 second, ladies. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started here in a second. As a reminder, once I do introductions, we will go ahead and entertain questions. Got about 15 minutes. We'll take all the questions that are here inside the auditorium first, and we do have an audience on Zoom. If you have a question, please use the raised hand function. And we will go ahead and do introductions here. I'm pleased to welcome to the dais University of North Carolina student athletes, Alyssa Usby, Carly Littlefield, and Deja Kelly. Questions? Start right over here on the far left. As a reminder, let us get you the microphone, give us your name and affiliation, and who your question is directed to.
Aaron Beard with the AP. This is for anyone who wants to answer it. You've played in this building before, so there's familiarity to it. How much value is that when you're going into a tournament and at least you have an understanding of what it's like to play here, everything from sight lines to the comfort of knowing the locker room even?
Deja, let's start with you.
I think that's super valuable to us because, we know the gym, we know what the basket feels like, or how to shoot in the basket, the locker room, just the whole atmosphere. We're familiar, so I think that definitely helps. So it won't take us too long to get used to it once we have shoot around.
Carly?
Yeah, I just echo what Deja said. I think it also is valuable that the result we got here last time isn't what we wanted. So we're kind of coming out here with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. I will also say that having to bus here, just 1 hour quick trip, was very valuable. We had a long trip to Tucson, so that was really nice to be closer to home.
Alyssa?
I think a great thing is being close to home because we can have all of our fans travel out. And so I'm sure it'll feel just like a home game, which in a lot of cases it is a big advantage.
We're going to take our next question from right here in the center, first row.
Gabe Ibrahim, Her Hoop Stats. So, Coach just mentioned like you guys have had to prove yourselves over and over again. I just wanted to hear from you guys, like, how do you feel about having to prove yourselves and kind of people doubting, your stats, your performances this year?
Alyssa, you start for us this time.
Yeah, I would say that when we accomplish something like making the Sweet 16, people are surprised, like, oh my gosh, great job. And we're kind of like, yeah, we knew we could be here. We knew how good we've been since the summer. And so now we're just waiting for other people to catch on.
Carly?
Yeah, I come from that mid-major background, so I've always kind of had that chip on my shoulder, underdog mentality. So I enjoy it, and I think it drives our team even closer together and to work even harder.
Deja?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what they both said, we definitely have been playing with the chip on our shoulder all season. And to see people now be like, oh, Carolina, y'all are actually good. Y'all made the Sweet 16. It's like, no, we've been good all year. And like Liz said, we've had that mentality to where we knew that we could make it this far. And we're really grateful to be here. But it's like we've been this good all season. So for people to finally catch on, that's cool. But for the people that have been with us all season, shout out to y'all.
Go next, back on our left on the aisle.
Eddie Hughes, Spectrum News 1. Coach just touched on you guys kind of regrouping the last time you played here and you lost in the ACC Women's Tournament. What was that like for you guys, and what went into the regrouping before you guys started the NCAA tournament?
Carly?
I think it was just a good time to refocus. Obviously, it was the beginning of March. That one hurt a little bit because we believe in ourselves, like Deja just said, so we thought we could make a deep run. So I think that was just a good time for all of us to come back together, refocus on the greater plan, get to Sweet 16 even further. So that's what it was like for us.
Deja?
Yeah, I would say the same thing that Carly said. We did not like the outcome the last time we were here at this gym, and I think that was motivation, especially during that week and a half of practice we had before the tournament, before the March Madness tournament started. Just to know that we could do so much better than that. We could play so much better, work even harder. So I think that was definitely motivation going in this tournament, and it shows.
Anything to add, Alyssa?
Yeah, although we hate losing, I think that loss was necessary for us to take a step back, take a breath, and remind ourselves of who we are and what we're capable of, and which has propelled us forward pretty far already.
I'm going to go right down here to the second row on our left.
Chris Peterson, WXII TV. I don't know if y'all realize this, but North Carolina is one of only 3 schools to have a women's and men's team in the Sweet 16. So for whoever wants it, what do you think that means about basketball at the University of North Carolina? What does it do for the school?
Let's go back to you, Deja.
It means so much. It means so much to us as a university. I think just as, in the athletics program, I think that's huge to have both your men's and women's basketball team in the Sweet 16. That just shows how much work we put in. And then it also shows how much we support each other. You see everyone is just like, congrats to both the men and women's, like we're receiving the same amount of support. So I think that's pretty huge, especially for us as women, because, it's been known as like the men's basketball school for a while. So for them to see that, the women's team is just as good, and that we're both thriving and we've been thriving all season, I think that's huge for our university.
Alyssa, anything?
Yeah, it's been a special moment to share with our men because we're pretty close with our men's team. So it's really nice to share in that commonality of that grind that we've all been on for so many years of our life, and especially at the collegiate level where it takes another big step up. And it's just really cool to be able to congratulate them on a similar award, similar step in the tournament that we've been taking.
Anything to add, Carly?
I'll just echo that it's surreal. I don't think it's truly sunk in yet that we're both in the Sweet 16. But I'll just say when Coach was recruiting me the second time, she said, come on down to like college basketball heaven. And so she was right. It's college basketball heaven, 2 teams in the Sweet 16.
Go right here to the middle on our left.
Bob Sutton with the News and Record. Deja, why do you think it took so long to kind of stop flying under the radar? You mentioned you guys knew all along that things were in good shape.
I think the main talk was, people didn't know how we would do in the tournament. I think that was kind of the talk all season for us, and we were just like, we'll just keep. We kind of just kept our heads down and just kept pushing all year. Just kept trying to prove, what we were about, how we were playing, how good we are, but never really letting it phase us, never really letting it affect us. And we're like, we'll just show them, once March comes. And so we were really excited coming into this tournament. I think that was definitely motivation for us to kind of just, on this huge national stage, to finally show people what Carolina basketball is about. And like I said before, for people to finally catch on is exciting. And it's like, but we've been doing it all year, so.
I'm going to go to AB over here on the aisle.
This is for Alyssa. Obviously, with what Courtney pointed out, that you guys have only lost to 4 teams, you've beaten a 1 seed. Confidence isn't a problem for this group. Is there extra confidence gained from winning on the road like you did last week, or is it just more of the same and it doesn't really change that part of it?
I think it's extra confidence going on the road because we flew across the country to play a team that was ranked higher than us at their place with all their fans. That's the most fans we've played in front of all season, and mine and Deja's career here at Carolina. So that definitely boosts the confidence. So we're coming in high to this next game.
Go right here in the middle, second row.
Hi, Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. I wanted to ask a little bit about off-court and the name, image, and likeness this year. Deja, obviously you had a big social media platform and have really taken advantage of it. I'm curious what your approach has been when looking for deals and accepting deals. And Alyssa and Carly, also with you two, just how, without coming into the season with that big of a social media platform, how have you approached NIL and what are you looking to gain from it?
Deja, start us off, please.
I would say my approach is just performing on the court. I think a lot of that comes with your basketball performance. So I really, my agency has done a really good job of not letting the two intertwine and not let it distract me from my play. And I've done a really good job as well as kind of separating the two. I know that a lot of the deals come from the basketball side and how I'm performing, but not letting that, kind of distract me or override my focus or anything like that. So I think that my approach has been pretty good all year, and if the deals come, the deals come.
Carly, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think NIL is a great opportunity for everyone, and obviously being at such a big brand as Carolina, I've had the opportunity to take advantage of some local deals, and so I just think it's been a great opportunity for all college athletes.
And Alyssa.
Yeah, I've also been able to take advantage of a few local deals. And I know, and for the rest of our team, we just keep our heads down and keep working. And those NIL deals, like Deja said, will come. And we're just really grateful that this opportunity was opened up to us this year.
We're going to take our next question from Zoom, from RL. RL, floor is yours.
Hey, Alyssa, I wanted to ask, you've played a good bit of 5 when you've gone to the smaller lineups. And obviously, there's a big challenge with Aaliyah Boston. Can you talk about that challenge if you should have to be in that situation tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think I've been undersized playing the 4 and 5 position against a lot of our team, against a lot of these matchups we've had this season. And so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is just using my speed to get around bigs, boxing out, being more persistent and physical as much as I can, and I don't think any matchup should be a problem.
Thanks.
We're going to go over to our far left on the aisle, third row.
Claire Goodwin, WGHP. This is a team where there really are so many standout players between the 3 of you, Kennedy, just everyone. How important is it to know you have that depth and know you have people you can trust, who can score, who can defend?
Let's go ahead and start with Alyssa.
Yeah, I think that's one great thing about our team is that we have so many people that can score and contribute big numbers on any night, let alone nights where we all have big scoring days. And so it's very comforting to know that we have threats one through 5 on the court at all times, which opens up a lot for, we open up a lot of things for each other.
Carly?
Yeah, I think it's really fun because not only can we have depth scoring, but we also have depth on the defensive end. And so when you have 5 that are really bought into defending, it makes offense fun, it makes the game fun. And just as a point guard, having so many threats around me, it's also super fun because I can make a bad pass and they'll make me look good.
Tasia?
Yeah, I would say it's really exciting to have 5 versatile players on the court at all times. We all can do a little bit of everything, offensively, defensively, facilitating, scoring. I think that's what makes us really special because, you know, like Alyssa said, on any given night, it could be anyone's night as far as scoring, but everyone pitches in their own value. And I think, and it doesn't matter the game, but I think that's what makes us special and that's what makes us run and makes us play so connected.
Back to the second row.
Chris Peterson, WXII TV. So I've heard a lot of talk here with Coach and you guys about y'all flying under the radar this year. But didn't you start 13-0 and you still feel like teams are overlooking you in spite of the fact that you started 13-0? And when you start 13-0, did you ever feel like you were going to lose a game?
Let's go with Carly first.
I think the flying under the radar started just at the ACC Media Day when we were picked pretty low down in the league. I think that just also speaks to the strength of the ACC, and so we knew that we were kind of fighting that uphill battle with so many good teams in one conference, and so we had that chip on our shoulder to win some games in conference as well. But yeah, starting off 13-0, we started off hot. It didn't feel like we were going to lose a game. We obviously needed some losses to learn some things, but we ended up winning a lot of games this year.
Deja?
Yeah, starting off 13-0 was definitely exciting for us, and I think people were still like, oh, you know, I think their excuse was, oh, they're not playing anybody, they haven't played in the ACC yet, and I think that's why we were still kind of being overlooked, even though we were 13-0. So at that point, we were like, okay, from here on out, we're just going to put our heads down, we're going to play how we play, we're going to go out and keep winning some games, and then maybe later they'll catch on, but I don't think we were really, you know, we didn't let that bother us too much because we were like, okay, you know, even though we went 13-0, people are still kind of questioning our ability and how good we are. And I think that with us just putting our head down and just keep playing and keep playing so well like we did, especially in the ACC. Like I said, we finished 4th. They had us listed as finishing 7th. So I think just proving that silently, I think was really good for us.
Anything to add, Alyssa?
Yeah, I would say that I think flying under the radar helped us a lot this season because we just kept going back to work, like Deja said, keeping our head down, did all the work in the darkness and letting the success shine. So it's been really fun having kind of like those little doubts because then we have that chip on our shoulder and we just keep going back to the gym and keep working harder.
We're going to go back to Zoom for another question from RL.
Hey, Carly, can you talk about the uncertainty? Obviously, you've asked for a waiver to come back next year, but you really don't know how that's going to work out. And knowing that the next game could be the last of your college career.
Yeah, I'm trying to not focus on that uncertainty too much. Tunnel vision, just putting my head down, focusing on the tournament and what I can do to make this team successful. It's obviously hard to have in the back of my mind, but I'm just hoping for the best and playing like it is my last.
Thanks.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Go back over here to Bob, 4th row in the middle.
Did anything happen in the scrimmage with South Carolina that kind of indicated, wow, you're right, they were number 1 in the preseason also, that you're right there with these top teams?
Deja?
We knew South Carolina is a good team. We know they are. They were really good last year as well, and they have mostly everyone back. So we knew from jump, especially in that scrimmage, that they were a really good team. And that's kind of when we found out that we were as well. I would say, I don't think we can give too much detail on that, but I would say just knowing that we can compete with anybody in the country and just having that mentality going into this game as well. We know that they're a good team, but we are as well. And just having that mindset, I think will do some good for us.
Alyssa?
Yeah, I think that scrimmage was a launch pad for our season because that was our first real test, and we showed up to play. So that's why I'm more than excited for this game tomorrow night.
Carly.
Yeah, I think getting that kind of competition so early in the season, I mean, that was back in October, it was our first scrimmage. I think that just set us up to stay hungry all season because we saw what the #1 team in the country looked like, felt like playing against, and so that really kept us hungry all season, and I think, like both of these two just said, we're all very excited to get to see him again.
We're going to go to another question on Zoom from the New York Times. Remy, please ask your question.
Hi guys, congratulations on making it this far and best of luck this weekend. Just wanted to follow up on Lindsay's question about the NIL stuff. Do you guys feel any new pressure this year, especially on such a big stage, maybe in the way you think about how you present yourself to the world? Are you doing anything different, especially now that you're entering the Sweet 16?
Alyssa?
I wouldn't say for me personally, there's not as much pressure. Obviously, I can't speak for the rest of my teammates, but I haven't had a lot of big NIL deals, just like some local ones. And my goal of my college career isn't as focused on building a brand. I just want to have a fun career and just play with my teammates and play with my best friends. So if those deals come, like they just said, like those deals will come.
Carly.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to keep that on the back burner and just focus on going out and having fun, playing the game that we can play. I guess the only difference is that there's a lot of photographers at these games, and so I've enjoyed getting to see like a lot of pictures after the games and posting some of those, so I guess that's one of the things I'm doing differently.
Deja.
I would say it's not really anything different, not a lot of pressure. Because at the end of the day, it all comes from basketball. So I think as long as I'm just staying focused on helping us win some games, I think that the deals will come. And I'm not really focused on specifically what deal I won and if I'm going to do this certain thing to get it. Like, it's just I'm just going to be me, authentically me, and just play hoop and go from there.
Thank you all very much. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a reminder, the ASAP quotes as well as the video from Hammond Communication is available on the NCAA Digital Media Hub. We will be back here for Iowa State news conferences at 2:05. Thanks.